The rain had just begun to fall when Daniel stepped into the small roadside diner, shaking droplets from his worn brown jacket. The neon lights flickered outside, casting pink and red reflections across the wet pavement. It had been another exhausting day at the auto repair shop, grease-stained hands, long hours, and barely enough pay to keep up with rent. But Daniel carried something most wealthy men lacked, a heart that noticed people. As he slid into a booth near the window, he saw her. A young woman sat alone 2 tables away, dressed simply in a faded sweater and jeans. Her hair was loosely tied back, and though she tried to appear composed, her eyes betrayed her. She was staring at the menu longer than anyone ever should. Not confused, calculating. Choosing the cheapest item. Pretending not to be hungry. Daniel had seen that look before, he had grown up with it. The waitress approached her, and Daniel overheard the softest apology as the girl quietly asked if she could just have a glass of water for now. Something inside him tightened. Without overthinking, Daniel called the waitress over and asked her to add whatever the young woman wanted to his bill. "Don't tell her it's from me," he said gently. "Just say it's taken care of." Minutes later, the waitress placed a warm plate of food in front of the girl. Confusion washed over her face, followed by disbelief. She looked around the diner, trying to understand. Her eyes briefly met Daniel's, and he gave a small nod with a reassuring smile before looking away as if it were nothing. But to her, it was everything. After she finished eating, she gathered her bag and slowly approached him. "Was it you?" she asked softly. Daniel shrugged. "Everyone deserves a warm meal," he replied. "No one should have to pretend they're not hungry." There was no pity in his voice, no attempt to impress. Just honesty. She introduced herself as Emily. She thanked him more than once, her voice steady but her eyes still holding that guarded strength. They talked for only 10 minutes, about small things, about the rain, about how the city felt colder than usual. Then she left, and Daniel assumed that would be the end of it. Some kindnesses are meant to pass like quiet breezes. But fate had other plans. 3 days later, Daniel's garage received a letter, formal, sealed, and unexpected. It was an invitation to a private appreciation dinner hosted by a well-known investment firm that had recently purchased several small businesses in the area, including his struggling auto shop. Daniel almost ignored it, assuming it was some corporate formality. Still, curiosity won. He borrowed his friend's blazer and showed up at the luxurious hotel ballroom, feeling completely out of place among tailored suits and sparkling gowns. Crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead. Soft classical music filled the air. Daniel stood awkwardly near the entrance, questioning his decision, until he saw her. Emily. But she wasn't in a faded sweater now. She stood confidently near the stage in an elegant black dress, her hair flowing freely, her presence commanding attention. People approached her with respect, admiration. Confusion gripped Daniel's chest. Then the announcement began. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host declared, "please welcome the CEO and founder of Whitmore Capital, Miss Emily Whitmore." The room erupted in applause. Daniel froze. The poor girl he had bought dinner for was not poor at all. She was one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the city. Emily's eyes scanned the crowd, and found him. A soft, knowing smile curved her lips. After the speech, she walked directly toward him, leaving whispers in her wake. "Hi, Daniel," she said warmly. He struggled for words. I didn't know." She laughed gently. "You weren't supposed to." She explained that after inheriting her father's small startup years ago, she had built it into a powerful investment company. But wealth had come with loneliness. She often visited places where no one knew her name, dressed simply to escape the constant attention. That rainy night, she had been testing something, not people's money, but their hearts. She had watched countless individuals ignore her. But Daniel had not. "You didn't help me because you thought I was important," she said. "You helped me because you thought I was hungry." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "It wasn't a big deal." "It was to me," she replied softly. Over the following days, Emily found reasons to visit the auto shop. She asked questions about engines she clearly didn't need answered. She brought coffee. She laughed at his simple jokes. And Daniel, despite the intimidating difference in status, began to see her not as a millionaire, but as the girl in the diner whose eyes had once looked tired and guarded. Wealth didn't change her kindness. And his humility didn't change his worth. One evening, as the sun painted the sky gold, Emily confessed something unexpected. "Do you know why I didn't correct you that night?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "Because I wanted someone to see me without the money first." She paused. "And you did." Love didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived quietly, through shared coffees, through conversations about dreams, through laughter in oil-stained garages and candlelit dinners alike. Daniel never treated her like a bank account. And Emily never treated him like a charity case. They met in the middle, where respect lives. Weeks later, Daniel stood once again outside that same diner, but this time Emily stood beside him. "You changed my life with one meal," she whispered. Daniel smiled. "No. Kindness changed both of ours." And sometimes, that's how love finds you, not through grand gestures, not through status, not through wealth, but through simple humanity. So if this story touched your heart, remember this: you never know whose life you're changing with a single act of kindness. A small gesture today could return to you in ways you never imagined. If you believe kindness still matters in this world, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we share stories that remind you that love, humility, and compassion are still alive. And who knows? The next beautiful story might be yours.